Hi everyone, how are you all? My name is Imam. I'm going to show you guys how to install latest graphics drivers for your Intel graphics cards on Ubuntu. If you don't have a NVIDIA graphics card, dedicated NVIDIA graphics card or dedicated AMD graphics card, or you might be using NVIDIA or AMD built-in graphics card onto your motherboard, then you don't need to follow what I'm going to show in this video. But if you're running an Intel graphics card, which is most likely because most computers will have Intel graphics cards, unless you pick a computer where you have NVIDIA or AMD GPUs, then you don't need to follow what I'm going to show in this video. This video is for installing latest graphics drivers for your Intel graphics. Why do we need latest graphics drivers? Suppose you are trying to get the latest games running on your Intel graphics on your computer, and if your computer got an Intel graphics, then it's good to have latest graphics drivers for your Intel graphics card, because the latest drivers will provide better functionality in terms of 3D performance in your games and in terms of your overall desktop experience. So basically, the graphics drivers provide 3D functionality, 3D and 2D visual graphics functionality for your operating system Ubuntu. So you can check whether you already got an Intel graphics card in your system by running a command called glx info. This command, to get this command, first you need to install a package called Mesa Utils. So you can install this package by running this command sudo apt-get install Mesa Utils. Once you install, because I already got the package installed, I don't need to again. So glx info will give you all the details about your GPU graphics card. So just enter and you see all these terminal outputs, information about your OpenGL. OpenGL is the 3D graphics library for Linux. So you can see OpenGL vendor string, Intel Open Source Technology Center, and I'm running Intel HD Skylake GPU. Got a Skylake GPU. Okay, what's wrong with it? So I have got an Intel graphics in my system. So by default, what happens in Ubuntu, you get a driver which is not very recent, because at the time of Ubuntu is released, they ship a much older version of the driver, respective driver, because they have to check whether the driver is performing well, blending well with the system. So basically they pick a driver version which is mostly suitable for their operating system Ubuntu at the time of release. So basically most of the time you get an outdated driver with Ubuntu by default, but if you can get latest drivers, most recent drivers, in many ways. There are two ways I'm gonna show you in this video. So basically there are two options. One is provided by Padoka repository software, PPA, and another one is provided by OIVAF. And Padoka contains latest stable drivers, So this is good for running for games, and driver only Padoka repository only contains stable drivers. So stable drivers are important because it doesn't break it do not break any games. So basically it's good for all the games. If you want to maintain the compatibility for many games, Padoka is the one you should go. And the other one is provided by WebApp, and this one contains, you see, the latest updates. It contains very recent drivers, and also contains the upstream latest unstable drivers. So the drivers from this repository might break some games. So also you get latest functionalities which are not mostly tested. So drivers from this repository is useful for testing out bleeding edge features. So one thing you need to check whether drivers from these two repositories are compatible, will be available for your Ubuntu version you are using. So you can check supported Ubuntu version. I'm using Ubuntu 16.04. So in my system I already got Padoka installed. You can check using the glx same command the output of the. So you can see devel means development version, Mesa is the open source drivers, open source driver for Ubuntu, and you see the Padoka PPA. And now I have got OpenGL version 4.5 with Padoka. Same with this one. After installing drivers from this repository, I would see here WebApp something. But if you haven't installed drivers from these two repositories, from either of these two repositories, then you would see just a stable Mesa and nothing else, and most likely you will get OpenGL version. I would get OpenGL version 4 for my graphics card, because the one by default comes with Ubuntu is not recent, so I get older version of OpenGL. The other thing is you can only install drivers from one of these repositories, not both. So if you can only have one at a time. So you cannot have both at the same. It will create conflict and other things. So you have to remove the other one before installing. You have to take your system back to default settings before installing the other one. Suppose you installed Padoka PPA, then you wanna try out WebApp PPA, then you have to first remove Padoka, all the packages from Padoka, then you could install WebApp PPA. Now I'm gonna show you the other thing you have to remember. By default, a lot of the games is still using what is called OpenGL texture compression library. By default on Ubuntu ships a version of this library which is not optimum, or which is free but which is not the best. So you better install if you want to get the best one, OpenGL texture compression library, you have to get it by yourself, compiled from the sources. This is due to the reason OpenGL texture compression library at the moment is proprietary. So because it's proprietary and the license is not open source, Ubuntu cannot ship it by default. So if a user wants to try it out, they can go to the repository and download the source code and install it by themselves. So, but you don't have to do it. I have prepared binary version of this texture compression library for you, and you can just install it from there. So first we have to, if suppose I want to install drivers from Padoka PPA, so all I have to do, I have to see the repository. I have to get the address of the repository, which is down somewhere in here. This is the address of the repository. Then I have to run few commands in the terminal. The first command would be, first I copy the address, press in here. Then the first command would be this one, which will add the repository to the system, to the Ubuntu, and this command will update the fetch all the packages which are available in this repository, package details to the system, fetch all the package details to the system. And we would also like to install this package called, should be PPA purge, which is required for removing all the packages. If I don't want to have packages from Padoka anymore, this PPA purge package is useful for removing all the packages from this repository and rolling back to the default drivers of Ubuntu. So we need to install PPA purge by using this command. And finally, when this done, we can use this command to upgrade the system, and finally this upgrade to install the drivers from this repository Padoka PPA. What this upgrade would do would remove all the stable drivers, all the existing drivers, and basically pull all the drivers from this repository from Padoka and install into the system. After that, you can check whether the drivers are installed by running this command. You might need to restart your system to see this. And after you have installed the driver, you have to install OpenGL texture compression library. You can, for that you can go to, you can search for on theme, my blog, and go to on theme downloads, and then you have to look for OpenGL texture compression library. Whatever version of Ubuntu you are running, you download that one, that version. So you might need to wait. Alright. Okay, I'm saving this onto my desktop. Then save anywhere, preferably onto the desktop. Then extract the package you just downloaded, go there and double click setup, click run, enter your password, user password, and this will install the texture compression library onto your system. Then you can check whether the library is installed by running glx info grep s3. You should be able to see this text s3tc, which is the texture compression library. Or you can check ldd user lib i3 libtx so. which means you already got the driver. If you don't see any output, then the library, OpenGL text compression library is not installed properly. The other thing about if you are running Intel graphics, the final thing you have to do, if you have a latest generation of Intel graphics, I've got a Skylake generation, then you also have to install firmwares. What the firmwares do, they add additional functionalities, capabilities for your graphics. Basically, it lets the firmwares let operating system to handle more things about the graphics. So I'm running a Skylake, so I already have firmwares on my blog, so you can download it from here. I'm running a Skylake, just download Skylake firmware. If you don't install firmwares, then you're still fine. The graphics firmwares are not compulsory. You'll get all the basic functionalities of your graphics, but it just adds additional layers. I'm getting something. How about this one? Okay, suppose I have a Kaby Lake. I think that link is broken. I have to fix it. So just download the firmware. What is happening? It's also broken. Okay, let's try this one. I just wanna show you how to install the firmwares as I hosted.
Hello.
You can
My name is Esmeralda.
also install these firmwares by going through Intel website directly, but I put all the firmwares together in this one package. It's easier for you to install the firmwares. So I just downloaded the firmwares from OnTheme website. Then I have to extract it, then setup, run, password, just to wait for a while, and you should see these outputs. And you should see success. Please reboot your system. Firmware is installed. Now suppose you don't want any more these drivers from these firmwares are installed, just enter to exit. That's it. Now you have got everything ready for your Intel graphics. Now if you don't want, you want to delete all these drivers from you just downloaded, you just installed from this repository, you want to go back to the way it were before, then you have to run this command into the terminal. You have to replace this with the address of the repository, so drivers repository. Then it will ask you yes or no. You have to say yes. Now same thing for installing drivers from OEBF. You just have to get the repository address to get install drivers from this repository, and replace the address, these commands. So after you type this to remove the drivers from the repository, you'll see the following packages will be removed, the following packages will be downgraded. Then you say yes, and it will downgrade, take you back to the original settings. I just cancel because I don't want to remove drivers from the repository. And that's all you need to do to get latest drivers, graphics drivers on your Ubuntu. Thank you very much.